Now, when we understand this inseparable connection between the Vaidik Sanatana Dharma, this scientific religion, and Bharat, the next question comes that in India, historically, we find that whenever there has been decline in the vitality of religion, the Bharat as a nation has gone down into the pits of darkness. When one goes down in its vitality, we find that the other thing also goes down. That is the inseparable connection between religion and Bharat as a nation. Now, and contrarily, we find that whenever there is an awakening in the religious consciousness, the collective religious consciousness of the people of this Indian subcontinent, Bharat also has been awakened. This we see from time to time. Right from the ancient times, you will find this happening again and again. During the time of Buddha, it happened. When the religious vitality was diminishing, once again Buddha comes and once again makes this religious life strong and vigorous, and with that, India once again regains her glory. The same thing happens with Sri Shankaracharya during the 8th century AD, when the entire country was seen to be becoming devoid of the great Vaidik Sanatana Dharma system of thought. At that time, Sri Shankaracharya once again comes and infuses and breathes fresh life into this Vaidik Sanatana Dharma, and in and through the awakening of the religious consciousness, whole nation becomes revived. This is the connection between the awakening of the religious consciousness and awakening of Bharat as a nation. There is a very close connection, inseparable connection between these two factors. Whenever India has revived, it is through the awakening of the religious consciousness of its people. Now, what happened in the 19th century? It's very interesting. What do we find here? In the 19th century, we find that this religious consciousness of the people, this Vaidika Sanatana Dharma, we find in its lowest ebb. People had lost respect for this great Vaidika Sanatana Dharma. They had lost faith in religion itself. It is so interesting that India is the very land where spirituality was born. India is the very land where all this religious quest was initiated and taken to its logical end. And the greatest discoveries in the realm of spirituality and religion has been made in this land, and that is the real glory of this nation. And in that country, a time had come in the 19th century where people had lost faith in that very religion. People had lost that Shraddha for Vaidika Sanatana Dharma. People had lost their respect for India itself. And there are several reasons for this. This was a very complex situation brought about by several factors, like, politically speaking, the 1,000 years of foreign invasions, Islamic invasions, finally ending with the British rule, and the 1,000 years of plunder which had taken place in this country, and the siphoning off of all the material wealth. We know, even by the Britishers, it is said that even in the 17th century, India was very rich. In fact, if you go back even 1,000 years back, India was the richest country in the world, materially speaking. What to talk about spiritually and philosophically? This richest country in the world in the 19th century had become the poorest. Why? The English came here and they siphoned off India's wealth, the material wealth. We know the stories actually. They say that shiploads of wealth from this land used to be transported from Indian ports to the English land. Shiploads, several fleets of ships would be transported from the Indian ports to England, carrying the huge wealth from this land. That is how India finally landed up. India was made a poor country, absolutely the richest country, becoming one of the poorest in the 19th century. Material wealth is gone, but more dangerous was the cultural kind of a conversion which was taking place in and through the English education. Since the English education was adopted in this country, and that was done with a very specific plan, very clear-cut plan, in order to uproot the Indians from their own roots. We know this ploy, this conspiracy by the Europeans. And in and through this English educations, people were made to understand that Indian religion is all superstition, it is all myth, and it is all worthless. And India itself is a very, very barbarous and a backward country, and the real glory lies in the West and in Christianity. So this was the overall trend or the overall intention behind the education system which the English had thrusted upon the people of India.